One of the most surprising things I've ever learned is that novelty and attention extend your lifespan. Or more precisely, attention and novelty slow time. And the opposite is true as well. Pattern and distraction accelerate it. This model explains why time moves so slowly when we were children and why it streaks by in large gulps as we get older. When we're young, everything is new. And when things are new, we can't help but pay attention to them. We're fascinated by them, and time freezes. As we get older, we switch to autopilot. We stop paying attention. We wake up, eat the same breakfast, go to the same job. We rut into a pattern. We don't notice things. We don't appreciate things. We don't delight in them the way we used to, because very few things are new anymore. In fact, we barely notice anything at all. Hard to say exactly, but I think this accelerates time by like 2, 5, or maybe even 10x. Seasons become years and years become decades. You think you just took out the garbage and watched a show on Netflix, but when you look at the calendar, it's like 11 years later. One way to frame this is the way we already have, which is based around the amount of novelty that you have in your life. As in, how new are the activities that you are doing day to day? But perhaps a better way to think about this is less about the activity and more about how much you're paying attention to life in general. They tend to go together. The supernatural power I learned from Sam Harris through his meditation course, Waking Up, is that we can actually slow time ourselves by learning to control our attention. After learning meditation from Sam a number of years ago, I now have a dead simple way of describing meditation itself, which is kind of hard to describe. There are basically only two states of living. There is aware and there is hijacked. And aware is when your attention is alive and observant, which makes the subject of your focus kind of everyday extraordinary, from breathing to an ankle itch, whatever you're focusing on. Being hijacked is the natural state for all of us, even Sam or the Dalai Lama or whoever. In this state, you're not aware of what you're thinking or feeling. Instead of observing life, life is happening to you. You become your feelings, you become your thoughts. The separation between yourself and your inputs dissolves completely. A good example would be imagining a work conversation where some guy named Chris said something dismissive about one of your projects. In your mind, everyone in the meeting now thinks less of you and your work at the company. So you basically think about this constantly. For like the next day, perhaps multiple days, maybe it's been a couple of weeks now, you've just been thinking about it over and over. Can't believe he said that. Why would he say that? I can't believe, Julie believed him or whatever. Whether you're driving to do an errand or eating a sandwich or sitting on the couch, your brain goes through this scenario thousands of times in different iterations. You imagine different ways you should have reacted, what you can possibly do to fix it, whether or not you should look for another job, and you hope that Chris gets fired. You just keep thinking about different ways he could be fired or whatever. You are not yourself while this is happening. There is no you while this is happening. You've become a cockroach in a garbage can on a freight train heading towards a distant, silly place that does not matter. How many minutes or hours or days have you spent thinking about this one particular thing? The real problem is not even that one particular thing with Chris that you're thinking about. The problem is that our lives are full of situations just like these, over and over, annoyances and ruminations about them. If you were to check in on your mind at any particular moment of any particular day, of any particular year in your life, and you were to see a text transcript of what you were thinking, it would be the ramblings of rumination. For the hijacked, when we feel emotions, we become those emotions. When we have negative thoughts, we become those negative thoughts. This is a state of being distracted, the lack of attention. Unfortunately, it's the vast majority of people the vast majority of the time, including me. So where does this actually leave us? Well, there are ways to break free from this. We can learn to meditate, even a little bit. Give yourself the ability to get to the aware state, even if it's just for brief moments during the day. Number 2, we can build more novelty into our lives, new books, new foods, new people, new art. And third, we can bias towards creation versus consumption. Creation takes focus, which is a type of attention, and often requires novelty as you learn and master a craft as well. If we quiet our minds and pay close attention to great food, great friends, great books, and great walks with our loved ones, if we honor the present moment and the feeling of her hand in yours, if we create instead of consume, if we build instead of bicker, we magnify the quality and duration of the time we have in this life. We can turn seconds into lifetimes. Doing this well means 10 years can become 50. And doing this wrong means we could die at 90, never having lived.